What to do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I am here with the homie Sin. There
Yes, sir.
is no jokes,
No jokes.
just us.
Just us.
You are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today,
Today,
we might be talking about the resurrection of an undead army.
okay.
We might
Okay.
just be talking about that in more ways than one. However, since Jokes is not here, Sin's going to do his job. Make sure that Beacon's link is up and available for all of you to make sure that you can click on it. And then when you get there, you click on the other links that you see there. And then you click on the follow, the like, the heart, the like, all of the things that do all the things. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What up, Ellis? Listen, my man has the double championships not because he earned them, but because he bought them. You know how like people buy likes on social media or like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just, and sometimes it just feels good to have. You know what I
That's
mean?
all.
So like, you know what I mean? Let's let him live. Like you got some championship belts. You know what I'm saying? Like I think yours are in a case though. Like I don't think yours are. You know, you got a Captain America shield or two. You know what I mean, like, let my man live. You know what I mean? It's all good. What up, Andrew? How are you? Happy Tuesday. Always a pleasure. It's kind of like buying street credit. You are right. However, I implore you, Ellis, go watch our top 10 wrestling finisher panel from BlurredCon.
Yeah.
Yes, I know you have participated in one before. And yes, it was right here on like this very platform called the internet. However, live and in person is a very different thing. And I want you to know somebody walked in with the money in the bank and straight took my man's belt right off the table behind him. He couldn't do nothing. You need to watch it. You need to clip it. And you need to tag him in it. That's what you need to do. I mean, listen, Ellis, I know that you have an actual prop replica and it's not Hasbro. And I wasn't suggesting that you had like the Lego one, although you should.
Yeah.
Because joint's fire. I'm just saying, you know. Hey, Nana. Actually, we're half. There is a K. You don't usually get to see K. Technically, we're half. You know what I mean? But K's probably floating in the background somewhere, or at least he will be. He might not be just yet. He'll probably be floating in there somewhere. Twitch or something like this. Ellis says, I just wanted to flex on the double champ. Oh, then you know what? Let me stop getting in the way, bro. From
back to our regular scheduled program.
Why am I? You know what I mean? I'm just a manager. I don't do. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I'm not even a manager. I'm a ring announcer. You know what I mean? Like that's where I belong. You know what I mean? So I just let y'all have at it. What's up, Heather? Always a pleasure for us to see Heather, in person and here in the virtual world. There's the other K. KB, what it do? Good to see you. Long time, man.
Yeah, he just corrected it. He probably meant the other K, though.
I did mean the other K. But you know what? It makes my heart happy to know that you're lurking in the background, even when you don't. You know what I mean? When you don't jump in the chat. That's just, makes me feel good. 486 for life. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. You know what I'm saying? I made a lot of good memories there. Sin.
Yeah.
You have a job to do that is your job.
Yes, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbaye, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
That's right. Ellis Mbaye in the mentions and the chat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Double duty.
There it is. For life. 486. Sin, this has been what we're gonna call an interesting week. Okay. my intention initially was to come into the show today talking about Deadpool and the crazy numbers it did,
Right.
and box office, this, that, and the third, and
Mm-hmm.
shenanigans. And I guess we can.
We can.
And I mean, we will,
Yeah.
like, sort of. Look, Deadpool's breaking all kinds of records. You know what I mean? Like number 6 opening day, like 6 biggest opening weekend for like a
Mm-hmm.
rated R, like just crazy, crazy numbers, right? And here's the thing: I'm pretty sure deservedly so. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Before we go too much further, I want to say to everyone who's hanging out in the chat, who may come and watch this or listen to this later, I highly recommend you go and listen to or watch our Spoiler Boys episode on Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not going to do spoilers here. Most of you all are probably already aware, even if you haven't seen it. You probably had a hard time keeping some of those spoilers at bay, right?
At this point,
So,
yeah.
like, we're not going to get into that here, and that's kind of why we're going to keep portions of the Deadpool discussion to a minimum, because this just isn't the place for it. However, if you jump in that Beacons link, there is a link to our MCU chat where we do have a place for all the spoiler talk you would
Oh, yeah.
like to talk. That isn't Spoiler Boys. I'm just saying. I highly recommend it. But Sin, yeah, you're in agreement that the Deadpool numbers are deserved.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I kind of saw walking into Deadpool being on the end of last week into the weekend, knowing San Diego Comic-Con was coming, knowing Marvel was going to have a Hall Ace discussion, that like there might be, we were going to talk about it, there might be some major things to discuss, but Deadpool would probably be the biggest thing. And Deadpool had an incredible showing
Oh, yeah.
at San Diego Comic-Con
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend. They had an entire choir singing Madonna Like a Prayer. Like, spectacle and all of that. Because it's Deadpool, which,
Right.
for all intents and purposes, is spectacle.
Yeah.
Are you going to go see Deadpool again?
I haven't decided yet. Probably not, but I'm undecided.
What's keeping you?
Nothing really. It's just if I just want to take time out to go see it again instead of sitting and watching something else. That's all.
You're busy.
Yeah, I got things to catch up on.
All right. Me too, but I'm going again tomorrow.
I'm not mad at it. It was that entertaining. It was that good.
Got to get in them D-box joints, bruh, and get the seats moving. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
got to go see, anybody else who's in the chat? Did anybody see Deadpool? Or are we at where we feeling? I feel free to throw grades out. Don't throw spoilers out.
Yeah.
But feel free to throw grades out. I came out of Deadpool and Wolverine feeling really strongly about the direction that it felt like it was leading the MCU in. Heather says an 8. I think that's a solid rating. KB says, I need to get an MCU chat because I have one question about Deadpool. Or you can just DM me directly. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we can take care of that. You know what I'm saying? KB says 7.5. Also fair. Let's see. Andrew says, I did on Friday. Seeing Harrison Ford's reaction to the popcorn bucket, priceless. 100%. Though I did not get that popcorn bucket. I did not go to a theater that had that popcorn bucket. I did end up with the Headpool popcorn bucket.
Okay.
And the cups. Wolverine and Deadpool cups. So I guess I can show you guys later. But
Yeah, my job is completely
um,
sold out of all Deadpool and Wolverine stuff.
I'm sure because you didn't go till Saturday though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so that's kind of expected. They're probably going on eBay for something stupid.
Yeah, more than likely.
I'd never check. However, did I purchase the new Adidas Deadpool shoes today that come out tomorrow? Maybe.
Okay. Unboxing
Did
coming.
I consider the Wolverine joints? I most certainly did. Didn't pull the trigger because
Okay.
they want way.
Got it.
But will I be first thing in the morning on the first? Like, let me see what's up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Salute.
Bro.
Fresh joints to the
Bro.
arsenal.
Well, you know, the Deadpool Adidas joints got the little brown Deadpool pouch on the bro. Like, you know, I'm not a sneakerhead. I'm a pop culture collector, and it was in my wheelhouse.
Is the plan on wearing them or just collecting them?
At least once.
Okay.
At least once.
Okay.
When and where? TBD.
Got it.
If they come soon enough, fall Nerdpocalypse. Why? Because that's brand new. Why? Because I always wear a new pair of shoes to Nerdpocalypse. It's kind of how I break them in. And since September 7th is now the date, we will be at Nerdpocalypse.
Yeah, apparently.
Again.
So, hey, it is what it is.
You know what I'm saying? They should be here before then. Probably so. Hall H. Sin.
Yeah.
Traditionally, a staple of San Diego Comic-Con, in which the biggest news in the geek culture, pop culture pantheon, like this is where the announcements happen. This is where the biggest stars are every year. And if there is something to be said or shown, here's generally where it happens. And it's been a little dry for a couple years. But this year,
tsunami came through that thing.
Wet, bro. That thing. Let me tell you something. All right, so
I was like, hold my beer.
Let's get the kind of like some of the small pieces out of the way.
Yeah, because I know I missed plenty, and I'm pretty sure I know the big stuff. You know what I mean? But like some of the other stuff probably slipped through my cracks. So,
you mean I really don't like the way you said that. But if it slipped through your cracks, you let it slip, buddy. The Marvel news specifically coming out of Hall H. Look, let's start with Thunderbolts.
Okay.
Where's your temperature gauge on Thunderbolts?
And I'm very excited for Thunderbolts.
Please feel free. What is it about Thunderbolts that has you excited?
The fact that honestly they're not like a good guy kind of team or whatever. They're like misfit bunch kind of put together, working directly for the government to be what they wanted the Avengers to kind of be or whatever. But seeing like they're all these different vigilantes, I guess is what I'm looking for. Like they're not good guys, you know what I mean? But they're not technically bad guys either. Just seeing that team kind of put together in the MCU, I'm really, really looking forward to. And it has characters on it that I'm fans of, like Winter Soldier, like I can't remember her name now, but the new Black Widow. Her
Yelena?
Yes, Yelena. Yes, like I'm fans of their characters, so I get to see more of them on the big screen when it does happen. U.S. Agent, I'm looking forward to seeing him come back because screw him, So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Couple things. One, multiple times it was said on stage that Florence Pugh is like the standout of this movie, which is that was said by Sebastian Stan.
I saw that.
Who's like This, I think, is his ninth movie.
Probably.
It is.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's what's interesting about that. He said something about. There's a lot of speculation about this. He said something about when they asked him about that, like coming back, like being like a cat with 9 lives or something like that. And he signed a 9-film deal.
Okay.
So now there is speculation with this being his 9th film that he does not survive this for real, which is interesting to me. In the Thunderbolts in the comic, it ended up being revealed that none of them were the heroes they were portraying. They were other villains pretending to be them, which could be very interesting and would be very interesting to see, like, if Baron Zemo is actually behind the scenes pulling some tomfoolery in the background. It was also made known that Valentina, our good friend Val with 1,000 names who keeps showing up, that she is the person who bought Avengers Tower.
Okay.
So I imagine that is where they are going to be
their base of operations
housed, which is interesting because, you know, all the speculation has been, it's probably the Baxter building now. Fantastic Four bought it. Maybe Wilson Fisk bought the building. Like, there was all that kind of, nah, it's her. And that's crazy. Does the Shadow Broker show up in this joint?
She needs to. Shadow Broker, I think, should show up in it.
What about in Captain America: Brave New World?
Both of them, to be honest. Like, what else is the Shadow Broker doing right now? Like, we need that information. That's one of those things we talked about that they threw out there and we've seen nothing or heard nothing of it. And these would be 2 great films, I think perfect films to have the Shadow Broker show up in, because she fits so well within both of them. She knows both characters, she knows Winter Soldier and she knows Captain America. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's had dealings with them. So her showing up in both of these in some capacity, whether it's a cameo type of thing or it's an end credit scene, I think showing up for both of them should happen.
Will you be disappointed if it doesn't?
To be honest, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, not so if I saw her in something else before then. Like, okay, like I've seen what's going on with, I've got to update at least then, but we don't see nothing in these 2 movies go past and it's nothing, then I'd be highly disappointed.
Speaking of Captain America, Giancarlo Esposito is playing, now I can't think of his name, the lead from the Serpent Society. And I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I'm indifferent because I know nothing of the Serpent Society. So this is just new to me. So I'm just taking it as it is. I'll watch it and just see how I feel.
Fair. I feel like you'll be unhappy, but because I'm kind of unhappy. Like, to be honest, plot twist. Like, that's kind of throwing me off. Doctor Who, what up? Yeah, that throws me off a little bit. That's right. Sidewinder. That is correct. And he was very excited to say it. But Hall H was kind of like,
yeah, I saw that. I was like I said, I know nothing of it. I was like, okay. Like, see when the movie drops.
I don't really have I mean, other than the idea that what's his name is Falcon now, which is kind of cool, and it'll be cool to see somebody else don the wings, even though they both have wings now.
Yeah.
And, still a Cap and Falcon thing.
Yeah.
Is there a likelihood for that film to have cameos of other previous folks that we would know that aren't, is there somebody that maybe could show up that would be important or something? Because I'm excited about the film because of Red Hulk more than anything else, and just to kind of see what direction that takes. I do like that Isaiah Bradley is getting more screen time, and I'm hoping that we get a true like movie on screen for like, again, the Young Avengers. Kind of like I want to see some of that.
That's exactly what I was thinking of too, Andrew. Rhodey showing up in it. I mean, he's in the government, you know what I mean? So
that would be interesting, though. My man's been out of commission for quite some time, and I almost expect him to show up in the Thunderbolts a little bit more.
Okay.
Almost. Like right now, like I have no idea where we are. Like they haven't touched anything that had anything to do with Secret Invasion.
Nope.
Since that happened. And I'm still not. I mean, that joint is not a secret anymore. Like it is a well-known thing that, like, and I'm assuming that movie could be where it is because the president snapped at the end of that joint, and we have a new president.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Remember, the president was like, "Death to all aliens."
There'll be some explanation or something like that. They're gonna have to say something about it, at least within the movie. At least, yeah.
So I think that could make sense that Rhodey could show up there. That might not be so bad. Though there's a part of me that feels like Don Cheadle is a name that you would put out there. You know what I mean? Like in some manner. Like it just feels like if you're gonna put Cheadle in it,
there may be a small enough piece for it to just be a passing cameo or something like that.
And it could be, because he does those better than almost anybody. His passing cameo on Rush Hour is still one of my favorite moments in history. Man, I still got my lunch money from the 3rd grade. Yo, like, he be eating rolls up. Fantastic Four, Sin.
Yes, one of our beloved franchises.
Yeah, look, let's just kind of run it back and just make sure everybody in the chat is aware. We don't like the Fantastic Four.
No,
not a fan.
At all.
I am cautiously optimistic about Kevin Feige. And the MCU as a whole. You're right, Cuddy. The bloopers from Rush Hour, like he just, again, Don Cheadle. Even his bloopers are golden, bro. I'm cautiously optimistic that they can make me care. And the fake kind of like early trailer footage they show, because they just started filming like today for that movie. So they did show sort of like a trailer, and you do see like full on like Galactus eyes and head like looking through a window, and I'm like, all right, we know it's the 60s, we know it's Art Deco, but it is a futuristic 60s, which I think is
kind of like a Fallout if it wasn't a Fallout.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like Gotham
in
Batman, like how like everything is like old 30s style Art Deco. They got like cell phones, you know what I'm saying? Like Wi-Fi signals or something. Like I don't like yeah, so it's that. Here's the thing that I feel like could be good. So hold on. KB says Fantastic Four needs to be one and done. Introduce Victor Von Doom and let's get on with the program. Not gonna happen. Well, okay, hold on. Here's what I'll say. If the movie flops, it's a wrap. But we will see them again. Like this, it's not gonna be just like they're not gonna go. they're gonna be back. Secret War, whatever
They're
is
too
happening,
big
like they're gonna
important,
be
yeah, for the future of the MCU,
in some manner. I mean, they don't have to be, because really the mutant saga is starting now. And so they're not mutants. And
yeah. You know out of here. You know out of here.
but Doom is going to be important, and he is a pivotal character for them. But if Galactus is the big bad of this movie, which it would appear is the
Yeah.
case, Doom could not even show up in this. But I have theories, and we're going to get to those. Let's see. KB said, I don't want to see him go away. I don't need them to be central to multiple films. They are, in fact, Marvel's first family.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a part of me that feels like if Stan Lee was still alive, we might not have a choice. But he's not. And in Feige we trust.
Yes, absolutely.
The director for this film is the same person who directed every episode of WandaVision. I do have some faith.
Okay. 60s.
In the look and the style and the feel.
Okay.
And to some extent in the multiverse. Here's the other reason why I am much more cautiously optimistic than I was before. They specifically said they are not doing the origin story. And that is like, okay, so we just starting with powers?
Yeah.
Because the actor Eben, which messes me up because I want to call him Evan. That is not his name. It is Ebon. He, playing Ben Grimm, said that the advice that he was given from like former or like, I guess, varsity members of the MCU at this point was that Mark Ruffalo specifically talked to him and told him, like, gave him advice about doing the mocap and stuff like that. He was like, look, it's just like you're doing regular acting, because he's like, he's never really done it before and he's a little apprehensive about it. And he's like, it really is like just going in there and doing scenes, like doing your scenes or whatever. So like we know that he's doing the, like he's gonna be the thing. Like it's not. I like the choice for Johnny Storm. I don't care about the choice for Sue Storm. And like I like Pedro Pascal. Do I care about him as Reed Richards? Maybe. I think he can pull it off.
I gotta see him do it. Yeah, I just gotta see him.
I do.
Yeah.
But again, like I feel like he can do it. However, the most important character for me is Sue Storm. She's the most powerful one of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she has to, like, they got to do it. Like they got to impress me. Like they got to get that so right. I like that they're doing that. But most importantly, Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU as Dr. Doom.
Mm-hmm.
The Russo brothers coming back to the MCU to direct both of the next two Avengers films. Avengers Doomsday, so Kang Dynasty out.
Gone.
Saw that coming. Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret War. Heather says Pedro will be amazing. And she made a heart. And so I don't know if that is because he's that good or if that's because he's that hot. Yeah. But I mean, you know, I have faith in Pedro. It's not Pedro I'm concerned about. It's Reed Richards.
Yes,
it's Mr. Fantastic I'm concerned about. Like, Reed Richards is actually a very complicated, complex, and intriguing character. And they have done a lot of things with this character, especially going into Secret War, that have a ridiculous amount of potential to be super important. There is, and I'm going to keep this so sincere right now. Mind your name, Sam. There is a part of me that honestly believes that they are setting Pedro Pascal up to be the next Robert Downey Jr. For him to actually be core to everything else that's happening in the MCU going forward, because Reed Richards is that brilliant, is that smart, has done time travel, does do multiverse, and has played so many characters, both good and evil, has pissed off Sue Storm, has made her like that dude has done things, to be honest, in the comics that are like, he's a threat. The worst thing about the Fantastic Four is their terrible name.
Yeah.
It's trash, but it's classic.
I was power
It's a
to
terrible
all
name.
basic and class.
But here's the thing. They have already helped to rectify the fact that that name is so weak and antiquated by setting the first film in the 60s.
That's
when
the one thing that I'm
was a cool thing to say.
That's the one thing that I am appreciating about it being set in that time. Like, it makes it feels better in that time frame. The Fantastic Four, it feels better there.
1,000,000%, because there is no part of me that believes that Michael B. Jordan would ever, what up, Perp? Ever
be the Fantastic Four.
Want to be? Absolutely not, dog. Absolutely not. He'd be like, "Nah, I'm not doing this. I'm not wearing a suit with a little circle and a 4 on it.
Not happening, bro.
No, it's not. Nah,
this is not fantastic.
Not even. So, to be honest, what I'm looking for is for them to be able to take that very, listen, RDJ's Doom is perfect. We gonna get all into that perk. Like, if they can take the Fantastic Four, set them in the 60s, again, in a retro futuristic kind of 60s, where they have a flying car. Like, they showed the joint, right? In Hall H. KB, Fantastic Four is the greatest superhero group of all time. If it wasn't for all of the laughing faces, all of the emojis at the end of that, I'd be coming for you right now. Here's the thing. I almost wish they had done this film before they did Secret Invasion, so we could have actually gotten a Super Skrull. Like, I feel you. But Skrulls still exist. They're still out there. Doesn't mean there's not something happening in the 60s in whatever that universe is.
True.
We do have to discuss RDJ as Doom. People are excited, like super excited. They're yelling and screaming from the mountaintops. But also people are like,
this is the worst decision you ever made. Yada yada yada. I've seen so much of that too.
Yeah. Clearly, this means you're out of ideas. Clearly, this means let's talk for a minute. Because Heather says mixed feelings about RDJ return and waiting to see the plot explanation. Though we're gonna do that right now. That's exactly what we're gonna do, Heather. Look, I posted a little video. I know people have said, Andrew, we cannot have. Yeah, we can have more, man. Why not? You know what I mean? At this point, the switch up gonna be epic. Look, here's what I think.
First time he pops up on screen after being gone for so long. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. One, it is almost the most incredible move to take the hero, for all intents and purposes, of that original run of MCU films and make him the villain of the next run. That's genius levels of brilliant You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. People are going to go see it just because it's happening.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I got to see. I got to see what they're talking about. I got to understand what's going on. Why would they do this? It doesn't make any sense. Look, Dr. Doom and Iron Man have a very, very complicated history, right? They've clashed many, many times in the comic books. But of course, the MCU didn't have the rights to the character to do movies. So you can't go that route. You can't do it. However, there was a what if book that was called Demon in the Armor. And in that what if scenario, what happens is instead of in the traditional storyline for Victor Von Doom, he and Reed Richards are college roommates.
Right.
And Reed Richards just kind of outshines him at every opportunity. So there's like this rivalry that just kind of exists between them that really isn't a rivalry for Reed Richards, but is absolutely a rivalry for Victor Von Doom because he's just
seen
had
that plenty of times before.
Nothing, right? So in this what if scenario, Tony Stark is his college roommate.
Okay.
And what happens is Tony Stark is exactly what you expect him to be. Like first day, like he walked into the room, he got a girl on his arm, he about to come in the dorm room, do what he do. And Von Doom is in that joint trying to study, like, yo, can you shut up? Can you stop? Like, we have like this semester is blah blah blah.
Reed or Von Doom?
Von Doom, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like, yo, I don't need all this extra noise, whatever. And just really sees Tony as somebody who doesn't take anything seriously, blah, 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 and doesn't really respect him. But what he then begins to realize is how smart Tony actually is, right? And like, while Victor has to like study and stay in his books and like everything just kind of comes naturally to Tony. And so over time, it becomes a thing where like Tony's like, listen, man, you just got to learn to like relax a little bit. Like you're so busy stressing yourself out that you can't even retain the things that you're studying. Like, you know it, you're smart, but like if you just took a minute to slow down a little bit, like you would see that you made a mistake in that equation you have, and it really should be this. And he's like, how dare you insinuate that I would, you know, whatever. Of course, he realized Tony's right, blah, blah, blah. So in the long and short of it, basically what happens is Von Doom has basically been sneaking into this area of the college campus, working on this project, right? That's gonna do this huge thing and blah blah blah, right? And he talks Tony into helping him, right? Even though they're quote unquote rivals and like he's been nothing but mean to him or whatever, Tony's like, you know what? I got you. So they work on it day and night, blah, blah, blah. They're not supposed to be doing it. Tony was about to actually expose him and snitch on him. He was going to get expelled, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I won't get expelled if it works. And it's going to work. So, like, just help me do it. So he helps him do it, hooks Tony up to the machine. And what he actually does is he switches their brains. So he swaps their minds. And so now, and what happens is when Tony wakes up in Victor Von Doom's body, he doesn't remember anything. So he gets expelled, goes back to Latveria, has no idea. But he's still just as smart, just as brilliant as he always was, right? He thinks he did this experimental thing that he wasn't supposed to do and got expelled and whatever. And Victor Von Doom goes on being rich and having access and having power and having all those things. And it's kind of beginning to like bend the world to his whim because he just got access to it, right? And meanwhile, Tony Stark, who is now Von Doom, starts working his way up from the bottom, working multiple jobs, going to school, ends up with multiple degrees, blah, 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 and starts inventing things and starts making money, starts just getting it. And now he's eating into Tony Stark's profits, right? Stark, Doom, has created the Iron Man suit. He's going to sell it to the military, blah, 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 but he hasn't done it yet. Meanwhile, Von Doom, Tony Stark, has invented the arc reactor in Latveria.
Okay.
Right? And now it's gonna give everybody clean energy. Nobody's gonna need blah blah blah. Exactly. So face off. So now, and this came out in like 2010. You know what I'm saying? 2011, something like that. So now so they both have spies in each other's camps. It's really weird at their business or whatever. And Tony is planning to attack, destroy the arc reactor so that Von Doom can't, right? Goes to attack him. Meanwhile, Von Doom has created a Doom suit that looks like Iron Man, but has the red with the cape and the gold mask and all of that. But it is specifically for like rescue. Like it's not supposed to be designed to fight, blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to be defensive and to rescue people and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now he don't have no choice. He got to put it on and try to defend the arc reactor. Too late. It gets blown up, but he's already stolen it. Puts it on like this little thumb drive thing or whatever. And it's getting ready to leave and just leave him be. And they end up fighting face off. And he ends up basically, in the long and short of it, he basically tells him, I'll tell everybody what I did. You weren't the one. He tells him what happened. You actually weren't the one. I switched our brains, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell everybody the truth and give you, our reactor back. And I'll do all that or whatever. You just give me this and you go on about your business. You could recreate it and whatever. And he's like, nope. I'm good being Victor Von Doom. You know what I'm saying? Shuts Tony down and that's a wrap. And so he is Dr. Doom with Tony's. But as far as he's concerned in his head, he's always been Victor Von Doom.
Right.
So the idea that the MCU could just be like, oh, no, yeah, it's Tony Stark. But it's not Tony Stark.
Right.
It's Victor Von Doom. And it always has been. So much.
If they go back and try to pull that off, like, no, it's always been him. Like, that's been the thing the whole time. If it's written well and done, I
mean, I don't quite think it's going to be that, but I think it could explain why Victor Von Doom could look like.
Right.
Look, it's totally possible that he's a variant. I actually think that they might introduce a Victor Von Doom in the Fantastic Four film that is not Robert Downey Jr. at all. It's just Victor Von Doom. But that doesn't mean he didn't figure something out.
Yeah.
Like switch or do something or whatever. And I think that there's a lot of possibility around that becoming the direction they end up going in some way to help make it make sense that they look like the same dude.
It makes all the projects coming out that more exciting to watch, to just try to find the pattern of how we're getting to Tony Stark is Doom. That's going to be all of that. Half the fun of it right now.
1,000,000%. Because Slim's dead.
Yes. So what Earth did this one come from?
It's a good question. What Earth are the Fantastic Four in? You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of potential. KB says MCU been lackluster on the multiverse. They need to leave it alone and let it cool off for a minute. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't. Right now, there are so many unanswered questions that they have to bring the multiverse thing to an end, which they won't do until Secret War because they can't. So right now, all of these different characters, be they the Fox characters, your Deadpool, your Wolverine. What about Fonzo? They all technically still exist and live in a timeline that isn't quote unquote the MCU timeline. Loki is still sitting at the end of time, God of stories. So there are multiple timelines, and that's okay. But if they're all going to get pulled together in somewhere, like Secret War to me has to end up in some manner in Battle World. And if it becomes Battle World, then Battle World is one that brings everybody together in one universe. And then some characters die off, some exist, and some continue to exist, but all on the same timeline.
Right.
And the only way to kind of clean up and clear up what has happened with the multiverse is to deal with that. You kind of have to. The idea that the Fox quote unquote characters were all living in the void, but inside of an MCU character's body, Um, Perp says, I don't understand people's beef with variants in the multiverse saga. I honestly think that people's beef with it is not the multiverse saga itself, but the complicated run of places and stories you have to watch
I think
to
that's what it
feel
is.
like you're in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the movies anymore. It is the movies, but then it's also the TV shows. And if you didn't watch the TV shows or you started one and you didn't finish, and you know,
I can see it being
that,
confusing for people, not people like us, to try to keep up with.
right. For you, Perp, it's every day. It's regular for you. You know what I mean? But the MCU did such an incredible job of creating quote unquote casual fans that are actually rabid fans, but still are not going to pick up a comic book and have not picked up a comic book. That losing them along the way while you try to satisfy the hunger that exists within the people who are already that way is, I think, where they got lost. So I will say this. We did find out that we're getting an answer for the Celestial that's on Earth, and that is where adamantium comes from.
Okay.
In the MCU. That's happening in Brave New World. Know what I'm saying? The cat must be acting up, y'all.
Big time.
So, listen, the thing is, there's a lot of potential. We get Brave New World, Thunderbolts next year. We get Doomsday 2026, Secret War 2027.
Okay. So next year, we have to somehow get the answers to how we get the Robert Downey Jr.'s Doomsday, pretty much. If it drops in 2026, we should have a trailer by the end of next year, beginning of 2026 at least, a teaser or something. So there's got to be Easter eggs or something to come before then to help put those pieces in place.
I would agree. I mean, now if they don't, whatever. Alfonso says they set the bar so high it's hard to compete with that. You're right. And then we as consumers set the bar even higher. Like, we do, right? And like the bar is set that high for the films. It's super hard to come back after what the Russo brothers did with those Avengers movies, right? Perp says the Secret Wars turn into a 2-part movie. You think? I think it's possible. If they think Disney can afford to pay the Russo brothers to do it. Look, the Russo brothers went from having 2 movies to having 4 movies. So it's 100% possible. And here's the thing. Somebody asked Kevin Feige over the weekend if we were going to eventually see Avengers versus X-Men. And his response to that was, I'm so glad that what you're seeing right now has you thinking that far ahead, has you even in that mind space. And that was his answer. And I'm like, it's happening. You know what I mean? But the question is then, like, who?
Who's the Avengers and who's the X-Men?
Yeah, because the truth of the matter is, the X-Men that we have known, the ones we like and care about, will be too old.
Yeah. They have to do a recasting.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the Avengers that we like and have known will also be too old.
Thing.
So it will take recasting. And I think that Secret War is where we're going to see the majority of that happen. I think Young Avengers can still be a thing. I think that those characters can exist. I think that they would be smart to make Young Avengers into a show. I don't necessarily know that it needs to be a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you going into Secret War are getting into a spot where you're like, okay, yes, there's more than one Wolverine. This is the person who ends up being the Wolverine at the end of Battle World going forward. Yes, we're going to make X-23 Laura Linney into Wolverine. You know what I mean? Going forward. Perp says, or what they could do at the Secret War, instead of doing the Mutant Saga, they can call it the Doom Saga, have Battle Worlds, and a whole saga of movies, maybe. I mean, I think right now what they're saying is technically we're in the Mutant Saga, sort of. Definitely Secret War leads into Battle World, or there's no point in doing Secret War. That's for sure. Breadcrumb says, when you look at it from Eagle Eye Sober View, there have only been 3, maybe 4 multiverse movies since Endgame. You are correct. But technically, there are things that are happening that are affected by all of it.
Yeah.
Right. And again, there's so many unanswered questions that still exist. Because like right now, let's keep it a buck. Where is Namor?
Came and gone.
You know what I'm saying?
Been a bunch of people like that.
What are we doing with Black Panther?
We talked about me was talking about Shang-Chi. Like Shang-Chi, like, where you been, bro? You started the whole thing off.
A part 2 is coming. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna come, but like when? It's not announced. And if you're telling me that can't happen until after Secret War, again, look, they could announce another movie for 2026 and for 2027, right? Like there's plenty of potential for that to happen. I think one of the things that's smart about what they're doing is beginning to kind of slow down a little bit on what they're doing and how they're putting it forward. They still have a plan, but I think they're playing a lot more things close to the chest so that they don't make the kind of mistake they made with the Kang thing and building it all around this one character. And then now you kind of can't do that. Right. So Doom is, for all intents and purposes, a perfect next Thanos. Right. As a character who just is like, I'm here, I'm from Earth, I got things to do. You know what I mean? And I'm for real, I don't care what y'all do, but you better not come to Latveria. You better not bring it here. That's
down.
They put my man RDJ on stage with a bunch of Doom bots.
Fits.
About as close to Ultron as it gets.
It fits.
You know what I mean? So, like, again, my man said, new mask, same task. I'm still trying to put a coat of armor around the world. I'm still trying to fix all of these things. So can he be the enemy that exists trying to shut things down, change things, rearrange things? And Reed Richards is like, nope, can't do that. You're doing that wrong. That's not the right way to do it. You can't kill all these people, whatever.
Yeah.
TVA kind of thing. Like, again, it can go any number of directions, which again is the thing that's so exciting, I think, about what they're doing and where it's going. Meanwhile, Superman and Lois, bro. Don't make that face, in. Don't make that face.
What about Superman and Lois?
Bro, the first thing they did was go, nah, yeah, Superman's dead. And I was like, huh? Oh, it's all Doomsday, bro. Season 4 getting ready to go. It's going in.
Oh, I can watch this thing. Yes, I can get back. I can take a look at this again. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you should probably look at the trailer. Okay. I do want to talk about DC slate a little bit because even though, you know, I do have high hopes. I have hopes. I don't want to. Let's not call them high. I have hopes for the DC universe, and DC announced a slate of projects, and we need to look at them.
Okay.
And talk about what they're doing.
Okay.
Because it's a lot. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, the only thing I saw from them was their new logo, and I saw a piece of the Creature Commandos trailer they showed or whatever. I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that the potential for what they're doing, again, super high. Mm-hmm. I will show you some of what they're doing. So the first run, if you will, is called Gods and Monsters. These are the movies. You have Creature Command. Well, this is the live action stuff that is part of the new DC universe. So the Gods and Monsters story line, if you will, saga, let's call it. Creature Commandos, December of this year. Superman, July 11th of next year. Peacemaker next year, but TBA.
Mhm.
Green Lantern, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, June 26, 2026.
Okay.
Waller, TBA. Booster Gold, TBA.
Let's go.
Batman Brave and the Bold, TBA. The Authority, TBA. Swamp Thing,
Another shot.
and they better
Okay.
do it right. It better be right, TBA. Paradise Lost, TBA. And Blue Beetle, TBA. Thoughts on Gods and Monsters as a slate having 12 titles lined up as all part of this same storyline?
Mhm.
What do you think?
It looks very ambitious, but I know that they're antsy over there to get the ball turned around on this thing.
100%.
After their disappointing showing before, and I'm with you. I have my fingers crossed. I would love to see them do well as a whole. I think they have some interesting choices that they're going with for the gods and monsters thing. But I think overall they have a plan, they have a vision. I'm here to see it through. I'm hoping it comes out well for them to give Marvel some competition out there. But I do think it looks pretty ambitious to get all these out. Doesn't even say times or even dates for most of them, but hopefully within reasonable doubt without having to scrap stuff like they did with the last one, like a Batgirl and stuff like that. So it's ambitious, but all right, hopefully they can pull it off.
What was Perp saying?
Let me throw it back up there. Boom. DC got a lot of exciting things on the way as well, so I think both brands are going to have some dope movies dropping.
Look, I think it's possible. I don't think DC has had a dope movie since Batman Begins. I mean, you know how I feel about the Nolan films. They're definitely the best of what they have done, in my opinion, in terms of what. But
No, that
I don't. I don't. What?
Ty finally showed up. We're talking about DC.
What up, Tardy Ty? Yeah. Let me say it again. Let me say it again.
Uh-huh.
DC hasn't had a great film since Batman Begins.
I don't know.
I
about
mean that. All right. So what's your? I'm
The Batman I like better than Batman Begins.
I like the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
The Batman is the best thing they've done since Batman Begins. However, and like, let's kind of, because again, they're kind of in the same notion. They're both like origin story kind of things, or like early on things.
Yeah.
So I do think there's something to be said for the Batman. I do want to get you to knock a sin point or two off for the fact that the Batmobile is a muscle car, because
that has nothing to do with it.
Keep it a buck. Nah, don't do that.
That has nothing to do with it.
Because I do think,
personally, pound for pound, just personally, I like the way it was directed, shot, and all that kind of stuff better. I just,
so here's what I'll tell you.
I like Nolan stuff, but I just, the way that was looked and shot and all that kind of stuff, I enjoyed it more than I did the original one.
This is what I'll tell you.
But you know what I mean? Begins.
You mean Batman Begins? I think the ending of both movies is trash. I think the ending of both movies are terrible. The Batman, as good of a film as it is, drags on for too long. Like, when it should have been over, it wasn't over. And then it should have been over again, and then it wasn't over. So all of that they had, I feel like they squandered at the end, kind of trying to force feed too much into it to be like, oh, we got a Joker, and here's the flood, and doing like all of that kind of was like a bit much. Batman Begins, kind of the same thing where everything was on point and felt so right until the very end, where all of a sudden, like the horse had glowing eyes and people was running across, like it got stupid. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it loses itself at the end of that film. First Wonder Woman and Aquaman were cool. The first Wonder Woman has the worst villain that the DCEU ever had.
I ain't gonna argue with him on that.
Aquaman actually was cool.
Aquaman.
It was cool. It was cool. As a matter of fact, Aquaman was cool, but nobody saw it.
You said the second one was cool? I know I definitely didn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, it's home now. I can throw it up and watch it. So yeah, so.
1,000%. Yeah. But I would say that like the first Wonder Woman, same thing, really, really good until it got to the fight at the end, and then they blew it. They blew it. It was terrible.
And part two, they just blew it. Period.
They blew the whole joint.
Yeah,
they blew all of that, bro. Like just yeah.
Terrible.
So they like spent on their biggest characters. Justice League was trash. Snyder Cut was trash.
The second Suicide Squad was pretty good.
I don't know
if I put it up there above the Batman though, but that was
I wouldn't. It's cool. Again, here's the thing. In a world where James Gunn hasn't already done Guardians, Suicide Squad is a good film. Post Guardians, it's just James Gunn doing Guardians in DC. And so it's weak.
Yeah.
Because it's literally Guardians, but with violence and gore. Like it's you know what I mean? It's literally the exact same thing, and it just kind of overdoes itself. And it kind of overstays its welcome because it's gratuitous. In the same way Peacemaker is gratuitous. So, like, there is a certain level of, like, yes, it's funny. It's cool that you can do things that would be rated R and curse and whatever. However, you don't have to keep doing it. And it doesn't have to be so overdone that it just kind of wears itself out, because now you're taking the novelty of being. It's kind of like when if you gave a 10-year-old permission to curse in front of his parents, like that's how those movies.
He gonna let it off.
He just gonna go 8 until you know what I'm saying. And you might do it just so they wear themselves out, so they like, all right, the novelty's worn off. You know what I mean? It's like a teenager drinking before they are legally allowed to. Like you just go and you kind of do it and get it out of your system or whatever. And then when you turn 21, you're like, yeah, turn up. But it ain't even as good as like when it was when your friend turned 21 and you was 17 or something like that. Like it's just overdone for the sake of overdoing it, right? And so, again, not good. That's kind of where I am. I think there was a lot of potential in those. Mm-hmm. First Suicide Squad would have been good if it was rated R. Yeah. If it was rated R. Yeah. It would have been good. You know what I mean? But I just think they've super struggled. And so now that's the only thing that concerns me the most about James Gunn is I think personally, in a lot of cases, not in all the stuff he does, but in a lot of stuff, he has a tendency to kind of overdo it. And it's, it's kind of like discovering a new thing. And you just kind of want to do it over and over and over again until you get tired of it or you find something new. And so I just want him to find something new or find directors and editors that he really trusts and allows them to have their visions for whatever they're going to do going forward. Mm-hmm. Ra's al Ghul was too big of a nemesis to end, too weak in Begins. I mean, again,
yeah, Yeah,
Batman.
cut it. He had a weak ass death. Yeah, for Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, but again, like if you're not gonna keep him and go forward with it, because why y'all do this to me, dog? Bane was, bruh. And so
Nolan's Bane was trash.
It was trash, bro.
Only thing that was cool about it was the jacket. It was just the jacket that was cool. His little voice. That was it.
let me keep it. Let me really tell you, they would have done such an incredible thing to have kept the Scarecrow as his nemesis for the entire trilogy. He should have been the one pulling the strings and doing stuff the whole time. The idea of Batman being afraid of the Joker, afraid of that, all should have been fear toxic. Like it all should have been a thing that was happening in the background. That was all Scarecrow still doing his thing,
leaving breadcrumbs throughout there.
Yeah, like it would have been.
Yeah.
It would have been so good because the Scarecrow is an incredible threat that they just kind of threw it out there at the end. Like the first movie really didn't have a true villain. And then at the very end, it was like, oh, we didn't put a villain in, so we gotta just let's do the fear toxin thing or whatever and throw it out there. And now the streets are going crazy. And so it just kind of got stupid. And it was like the end of that joint was like it looked like Ichabod Crane and the like Headless Horseman. It was bad. But it was better than the other two films. I digress. I digress.
Gotta get it started.
That's what I'm here for. It is though essentially what I'm here for. So look, then we have the animation slate. Batman Cape Crusader starts in 2 days. I'm amped. I'm so amped for this. My Adventures with Superman season 3. Let me tell you something, Sam. I know how you feel about Superman.
Mm-hmm.
My Adventures with Superman is kind of fire, bro. Kite Man, stupid. Harley Quinn, all right, maybe. Watchmen Chapter 1, a lot of potential. Suicide Squad Isekai. I have mixed feelings.
I'm 2 episodes.
It's okay so far. I haven't finished it. It's okay.
I'm enjoying it the further it gets into it.
I respect that. Again, Creature Commandos. Batman Ninja. Another Batman Ninja film.
First one was garbage. I'm hoping for better with this one.
It must have done well, though.
It must have, but it was some hot ass.
I wasn't super fond of it, but I also know that for you in particular, you really don't like anime that heavily uses CG, and that's like all this was.
Yeah, and that was back years ago. I mean, it's gotten better, but still, everybody can't do CG to make it look good.
You're right, but I still love Appleseed. Like that's a joint for me. I know.
That's
I know. I know.
That's fine.
Watchmen Chapter 2. So again, the fact that they're already like a 1 and a 2, that's cool. I'm with Watchmen. I think Watchmen is probably their most important property.
Out of all these, besides, yes, I do want to see Batman Ninja, but Watchmen is the ones I'm most intrigued about. Just because their last two, the movie, to me, I really enjoyed, and the show, I really enjoyed. So when it comes to that property, with the visuals and stuff like that, they're knocking out the park. So I'm hoping they keep a streak going with this. So I'm looking for
a lot of potential.
Yeah,
I'm super with it. And then we have their Elseworlds, which let me now make the point I really wanted to make, which is that technically the Batman is not part of the DC EU. This is considered part of Elseworlds because it is not. Yeah.
So it's this.
Yeah, these are the films that are not part of that canon. So the other stuff that we have looked at, those are the films that are the films and the animation that are part of this new DCEU slate. So the Penguin, the Joker, Superman and Lois, the Sandman, the Batman Part 2. Again, that is October 2nd. 2026, huh?
Yeah, I said I'm definitely looking forward to the Elseworld stuff the most out of everything.
Yeah, I am also kind of enjoying the idea of this, and so even though I like the Batman And whether you like the Batman more than Batman Begins or not, it's technically not part of that run. So it's a completely different slate. The Joker, man, I'm so on this right now. The Penguin, I am all on board for.
And I know it takes place right after the movie, like it picks up like right where it leaves off.
I'm amped for that. Now, what's interesting to me is that Batman Cape Crusader has a penguin.
Saw that today.
But it's a female, Oswalda Cobblepot, which I think is an interesting twist. I'm here for it. Like I again, I'm all in, bro. Like if you're the Elseworlds thing, I think is maybe the most important thing they're doing. I do have concerns, even though they're stating this up front and kind of putting it out there, that like if even you and I and the folks who are here with us today don't always make the distinction between what is proper canon new DC run of films versus what is Elseworlds, then the general public does too. And I think we end up right back where we were when it's like, all right, well, what are you doing with Harley Quinn? Is she rated R? Is she for little kids? Is she, you know what I mean? Like those kinds of things, it kind of puts us back in that same position. It does make me feel better that they are at least attempting to categorize what these are.
Maybe they should
so that in some.
I'm just thinking maybe they should put up like they have the new DC logo. Maybe they should put up an Elseworld logo before the movie starts, along with the
100%.
DC logo.
100%. That is exactly what they need to do.
So people can know before it even starts, this is a part of the Elseworld thing. If you're looking for what's happening on the bigger scheme of things, this ain't connected to none of that over there. This is its
because
own...
I feel like there can be some very serious confusion when like they're not one-offs. Like
part 2 now, yeah. And Joker,
you have a Batman part 2. You have the Penguin, which is also part of that same series, and they are canon to each other. And then you have the Joker, which is also a part 2 to another thing that is also Elseworlds.
Yeah.
So like you do have to be very careful, because as you do those things and they are successful, you're going to want to greenlight spin-offs, sequels, and that kind of stuff. And then that can become its own kind of confusing thing, not unlike Fox Universe of the MCU.
They just killed that all off.
Disney Universe of the MCU. I would really love if they just was like, you know what? We have a Marvel Universe of the MCU, we have a Fox Universe of the MCU, and we have a Disney Universe of the MCU. And like this, you know what I'm saying? And just like, let's just throw it all together. I just
that's what DC's got to do with they have to make sure they separate these properly. Just to not get them too confused with the general public.
The reality of it is I'm slightly more concerned about Warner Brothers and how they handle DC and what happens monetarily and so forth as things kind of continue to happen. And as like Warner Brothers still seems to want to, in some manner, sell DC off. There still seems to be a looming threat around that. And so it just it concerns me. But we'll see. You know what I mean? Like we'll see what happens. We'll see.
I guess where that ends up too. See how the slate's looking. If it comes out swinging strong, they might hold up. Let's play this out a little bit longer. See if they can turn some things around. Or if they're coming out with low numbers, then WME might be like, all right, let's go ahead and pull the plug on this thing and let's save our losses.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder what kind of weight versus the budgets do you put on some of these things that you're deciding to put out, right? So when you look at Waller, what are your actual expectations? If you look at Booster Gold, what are your actual expectations, right? I think Peacemaker outdid whatever expectations they had. But then I also feel like when you have something like that that does well, it makes them go, well, we need to do more of that, not just in Peacemaker, but kind of across the board. And so, you know, Swamp Thing, like, what's our
Yeah, Superman, and we put Superman and Batman's name on it. Those, you'll get the people out for those. But it's these other projects that people aren't familiar with. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to figure some things out and balance those budgets accordingly.
But I also think that's part of what's important. I think that the problem for DC versus the problem for Marvel is that Marvel has more characters that people are familiar with that they could use in some way to kind of get things out and in front of them, right? So, like, again, when Iron Man came out, he was C or D tier for real because people kind of only cared about mutants.
Yeah. But you knew at least who the Avengers were. So these names weren't unfamiliar. They just weren't as popular. No one as popular as like the X-Men are.
Yeah.
And plus, Marvel has plenty of groups to pull from them with popular people. Fantastic Four, love them or hate them. X-Men, Avengers. Like there's a big known pool of people to pull from. Unlike DC, I would say, where it's Justice League and people associated with Justice League for the most part. Watchmen, yeah. But,
right.
Yeah.
But those are the gods.
Yeah.
In the gods and monsters, right? And again, look, if they manage to do that kind of street level thing, I didn't see anything that said that Blue Beetle was recasted. I didn't see anything that said that. I don't know. That movie was so Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
That joint was so very Spy Kids.
1000%. Yeah.
It concerns me.
Farting robotic beetles. I'm just saying. No.
Not always bad, right? Like if you know what your audience is and what you're going for.
Which has been one of DC's problems that we've talked about plenty of times.
Yeah, I mean, look, Captain America is technically no less corny of a name than Fantastic Four. Technically.
Mm-hmm.
Or Superman. Corny name, dog.
Yeah. All the Justice League names are.
They're all listen.
All
the early joints, they all got terrible names. Like they're
Wonder
all
Woman,
terrible.
Batman.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Like they're dumb.
Yeah.
But I mean, but
Mr. Fantastic. Sorry.
I honestly think though, right? Like, so I think a lot of what helped the MCU is again, they set that first Captain America movie in the time period.
Yep.
And so that name feels less corny because he's the fish out of water. It's supposed to sound because he's
and the way they were displaying it. Yeah, you're going on stage right? For the troops, and it's Captain America. Like it all made sense when you saw it put together.
That's why I feel like the Fantastic Four thing will work.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's all right. You're actually pulling from that era, right? And you're, but then also nobody, and they made him even in present day this old wartime hero that everybody knew, and everybody knows who he is. So he's like this historic. So even though it's corny, everybody knows, and it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of allow it to be what it is. But you could shorten it to a nickname that's just Cap.
Yeah, it was a Cap. And it's cool. It works.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
And the MCU spent so much time making sure that these characters spoke to each other like regular people. Again, rarely do they ever call each other by their superhero name.
Yeah.
They're Steve and Bucky, corny name.
First thing I think about with that is one of our early days of doing Lone Snacks when Edia was going through the X-Men picture and pulling everybody their government names.
Name up to repost that. Literally calling them by their names, right?
Yeah.
Like Wanda. She didn't even get called Scarlet Witch until basically the end of like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like even Doctor Strange is a corny name, but then you're like, oh, but that's his actual last name, so you leave it alone. Yeah. Like Dr. Doom, also
Von
corny.
Doom.
But that's his
that's
name.
His actual name, yeah.
Could they have called him Dr. Von Doom? Sure.
But Doom is more menacing. You don't need Devon in it.
100%.
Just Dr. Doom.
100%. So I think that's what they need, right? Like I think if DC can humanize and bring the gods and monsters to a street level place where they just talk to each other like regular people, right? And it still kind of has to feel that way. It can't just be, oh, Bruce, oh, Diana. You know what I'm saying? Like, because those things are still kind of feels like it has to feel like they're saying those things or talk like they don't talk to each other that way. Talk about each other that way to other people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you're not. Natasha doesn't necessarily call Steve. She talks about Steve using his name to Tony. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. With the exception of Thor, because that's his name.
Yeah.
like it's, and by the time you get there, Groot is Groot, and it makes sense. And like they don't know Groot.
Banner is Banner. He's at the Hope.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like it's that, right? It's calling each other by their names and that kind of stuff. That I think just kind of humanizes it and brings it down to a level where even as a viewer, that's the kind of relationship that you develop with those characters is the person and not the persona. I think that makes all the difference. And that's harder to do. That's why a show like Lois and Clark works the way it does, because the name of the show is Lois and Clark. I guarantee you there were people who started watching that show and had no idea it was a Superman joint. That's kind of how you have to humanize it. I think if they do that, I think they can pull it off.
Okay.
I really do. I really do think they can pull it off. And I'm looking forward to it because there are things that I really do want to see from DC like pop off. And I wanted to do so well that they green light. I need some more Justice League Unlimited and some Young Justice episodes. Like, just like do it, bro. Like, they're pulling for it. The voice actors are still alive. They out there doing Comic Cons. Like, man, if y'all don't get Susan Eisenberg in a room and just do a show, bro. Like, if you can get Tim back to do a new Batman cartoon, all things are possible.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Look, we're gonna wrap the show up. It's been a solid hour and a half. Were there other things to talk about? Yeah, they're bringing animalities back to Mortal Kombat. Did you miss that?
I gotta get stuff off my hard drive so I can reinstall some stuff to play. So we got work to do.
And we talked about it. That T-1000 thing was real, bro.
Oh yes, it was.
Well, the animalities are back, bro. And
I didn't see that, but
I'll make sure you see it. I want to thank all of y'all for hanging out with us this evening. It's been wonderful. Do us a favor, man. Make sure y'all go check out the YouTube. Definitely watch the Spoiler Boys for Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes. We might have to do a Spoiler Boys for Trap. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll talk about it next week.
Regardless, yes, we're talking about it next week.
Because Cape Crusader is getting ready to drop again in a couple days, and I got a feeling
it's gonna be a thing.
I think it's gonna be something.
Okay.
So we might have to do it. I don't, Thanks, Doctor Who. Everybody hit the like button. Wherever you're watching, feel free to sound off there. And if it so moves you, go to the platform where you're not watching and hit the like button anyway. If you enjoyed it,
Yeah,
you would like it. If
yeah.
you saw it there, you go ahead and then do it.
Just
So
let
go
me
ahead
know.
and do it. This weekend, good God, this weekend. So August is upon us, and it's getting ready to get super busy, and it just doesn't stop until next year, and then it starts again
Yep.
as soon as next year hits. This weekend we have Otakon.
Mhm.
So we will be out on the floor and milling around, shooting interviews and talking to people and all that kind of stuff. Um, Possibly try to split some of that time and shoot down to Roanoke for Big Lick Comic Con. Maybe Sunday, something like that. Again, there's a lot happening. That's
Yeah.
what's happening this weekend. We'll talk to you about what's happening future weekends in future weeks because this is a lot. We're overloaded. We don't want to overload you, but look for a lot of content. We'll be discussing our thoughts on the 30th anniversary of Otakon when we come back next week.
Hmm.
To see how we feel about that. Sin,
Yeah.
Thriller Park.
Yes.
What's happening in Thriller Park?
This Thursday, 9:30 as usual. We are on season 2 of ReZero. Last week we knocked out the first 3 episodes. Patreon members, you already have access to that discussion. Everybody else, you get it 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So look forward to what we had to discuss about the first 3. But hell of a way to kick off season 2. Let me just put it that way. And very looking forward to episodes 4 through 6 this week. So that's what we'll be watching. So join us on Thursday in Discord as we watch those, have some back and forth with you guys. And we'll, with Otakon this weekend, find a time we can sit down, record it, and get it up for you guys next week. So look forward to that coming.
Also, wrestling.
Yes. Yes.
Trying to
I
tell
do.
y'all, the weekend's packed up.
Yeah. I do not know when the next episode of The Finisher. I do know they record it. When Jokes is making it go live, I'm not sure. You guys can reach out to him and ask him.
Feel like he said
But
Wednesday.
probably.
I feel like he said Wednesday.
But regardless, tomorrow Wednesday we're recording our discussion predictions for SummerSlam, which is on Saturday. So yeah, this Saturday is SummerSlam, so we're doing our predictions tomorrow. Expect that to go live sometime between Thursday and I will say early Saturday. Because we're supposed to record that tomorrow night. So I'm dumb excited for this SummerSlam. So, but I gotta wait till it's over to wait till Otakon's over to watch it. So discussions are gonna have to hold me until then. But yes, look forward to that coming up, everybody. Yes. Our predictions for SummerSlam 2024.
Yeah, busy weekend. Look for a lot of content next week. We're staying busy. Again, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. It's been such a pleasure. Sin, as always, good chatting with you about the things that we chat about when they're not here with us. So,
we do what we do. We do.
It's natural for us. It just really is. Hey, somebody started GoFundMe for me for some more Legos because God, they announced a bunch of new Lego sets this weekend. Boy.
I got things to do.
I wish they could do. I wish you could get like a GoFundMe for time. Like if they were just a way for people to donate extra time to you. I'm gonna build all these sets.
That needs to be an episode of Black Mirror.
Yes. Well, did you ever see that?
I think I'm somewhere on season 3 or 4 where I left off on it.
No. Did you ever see that movie about time with Justin Timberlake?
Oh no, I've never seen it.
They get paid in time.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Oh Lord,
we have an announcement.
Here we go. You been getting me every month with that when you throw something out there. I'm like, I've never seen that. Well, let me get on the old Graham.
We did have our movie club discussion for Missing yesterday. Myself and Sin and Coop. I encourage you to check it out. You know what I mean? Missing, interesting. You ever seen somebody's scores go from high to not as high?
Yeah.
Marcus, No. You don't feed the beast, bro. You know what I'm saying? You don't feed the beast.
The beast stays
You know what I'm
full.
saying?
The beast good.
Now, like if he was gonna go meet mommy somewhere and we needed to do a GoFundMe to get him there,
See,
I'd be all for that.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
But like if you just like, oh, we feeding his mommy addiction, who knows what he gonna do with that money? Hey, dog, chill out. My man was getting stepped on a couple years. Like, y'all better chill out. Don't just be throwing that stuff out there. Anyway, hey, listen, it's been great to have you. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We're getting out of here. Sin, push the button. We're out. Toodles and loos.
Loading snacks.